every second of the game.
The Game Day Playbook, presented by FantasyAlarm.com on Bettor Sports Network.
What's going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. This is the Game Day Playbook presented by Fantasy Alarm here on the Bettor Sports Network for Week 9 of the fantasy football and NFL seasons. James, it is one of the biggest bye weeks of the NFL season. 6 teams on a bye, some big names out of lineups for today. I'm sure a lot of people are waking up here on a time change Sunday, right, James? We had to readjust a little bit to the fall back of the time changes here, and now they probably have to go scramble and find someone to put in their lineup for today.
Yeah, happy week 9. And can we just abolish the time change, John? Like, Arizona's doing it correctly. Whoever's in Arizona, shout out to you. Didn't wake up an hour early because your son or your daughter is waking up at 7:30 usually, and now it's 6:30. Like, you know what? Shout out to you guys. You have it good. John, what's your thoughts on time change? Like, we're on time travel, right? We're traveling in time. Like, what's your take here?
You know what? Listen, like I said, I woke up this morning. I walked into my kitchen. I was like, "Oh man, I'm an hour late for the show. Why is nobody talking to me about it?" And that's because I had to quickly realize that I wasn't actually an hour. It's that we had a little bit of a time change going on here when it comes to the start times of everything. So yeah, listen, you know what? It could be better, but that's fine. We'll get through it because we got a big day. We got a lot to talk about. We got a big day ahead of us here, and not just for our show, of course. All day long on the Bettor Sports Network. 11 to 1, you have pre-gaming with Front Yard Fantasy, and then you're with the Bettor Zone for the rest of the day there, living you live with your action. Front Yard Fantasy will get you all of your inactives, your late start sits, and help you with your questions here throughout the day, and then you can just watch live with the Bettor Sports Network. We're going with the Bettor Zone there. So it's a great day to stick with the channel, and it's a great day for you to be part of the channel, right? We want you to get into our chat, get into our show, join us here, get your start sit questions answered, get any betting questions that you have answered here. If you're trying to figure out who to pick up this week off of your waiver wires because you just woke up and realized that the Dallas Cowboys aren't playing today, and you need a quarterback because Dak's on a bye or something like that, you go ahead and let us know, and we'll James and I will be here to help you guys out. The best way to do that, yes, we're answering questions in Discord. Yes, we're answering questions in our YouTube chat as well. But the best way to get in touch with us, to cut that line, you got to go and download the free Bettor Sports Network app. It is completely free to do. No other reason why you want to do that. Download the app from your iTunes or Google Play Store. Sign up, click Join Show, and once you join the show, you're right there with us. You have access to our show chat, and you can put your questions right in there. Get in the game. Better Boss, both of you two are in the show with us right now. And you'll get to cut that line. You'll start seeing all these questions rolling in on YouTube, and James and I will do our best to get to those as we can. Quickest way to get your question answered, to sign up for free and join the show. It costs you nothing more than to go into your app store, download the app, and sign up, James.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know this, Sean, but free is definitely the best. So please go and sign up and jump the line. And I already see it, like you said, Better Boss in there. It is Buy-Mageddon, John. I think that is what the kids are calling it these days, Buy-Mageddon.
Buy-Mageddon. I mean, it fits, right?
Yeah. No Christian McCaffrey, no Saquon Barkley, no Melvin Gordon. Just kidding. No anybody on the Cowboys, no Browns. I mean, it's a brutal week, but we're here to help you guys through it all. And you're ready here to dominate, as always.
Yeah, for sure. So some of the big stories from the week here, James, obviously was that monster trade deadline that happened. It was a record 10 trades were made on this deadline day. We thought maybe we'd get some names, right? There were a few names that kind of leaked out that could have been on the move. I don't think anybody expected this much action. In your mind, what was maybe the biggest significant fantasy football trade that was made?
I mean, I think TJ Hawkinson going to Minnesota is quite appealing. I know it's typically been a condensed offense. It's been Dalvin Cook, it's been Justin Jefferson, and it's been Adam Thielen. But Hawkinson is a very good tight end. I think he's been in an unfortunate situation in Detroit, and we've seen when guys have been out, he has had monster weeks across the last few seasons. But how does he fit into this Minnesota offense that has kind of like been this triangle of trust, right? Like nobody has entered that. Like Irv Smith every so often catches a touchdown, and we see Alexander Madison step in when Cook's been out. But KJ Osborne is like, when everyone's healthy, is irrelevant. And Irv Smith was pretty much the same. So how does Hawkinson fit in? Because, weekly tight end one at a position that just, let's just face the facts, stinks. So does Hawkinson's value decrease? Will it increase? Will this help Kevin O'Connell's offense blossom even more? So I really like that move. I think that was the top fantasy football move for me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they said right away he's going to be heavily involved in their offense. I think they probably want to use a tight end in their offense, but Irv Smith, as much as the fantasy football community would have loved for him to be that real pass catching option, that really wasn't the case. He was running routes on only 54% of the snaps that he was out there for, right? So that means the other half of the time he was out there run blocking. TJ Hawkinson, when he was on the field, he ran 83% snaps, routes run. So like the Lions weren't out there having him run block. They were having him out there to catch the football, run routes. What I thought was maybe interesting and something I'm going to be curious to see how it translates now with him in Minnesota was that Irv Smith ran a little over 20% of his routes from the slot, where Hawkinson only 9% of his routes in Detroit were used out of the slot. If they put him in the slot a little bit more here, that could certainly be a bit more beneficial for him in the type of route tree that he can run, the matchups that he'll get, and sort of the way that the defenses will now have to worry about Thielen and Justin Jefferson. And then, Hawkinson really could be that third guy that they focus in on and could allow him to be a bit more available today. Minnesota, of course, facing off against the Washington Commanders. In Washington, you have that whole narrative of Kirk Cousins' official return to Washington after moving on from them to Minnesota a handful of seasons ago. So that narrative's in play as well.
You like that?
I don't know. Do we like that, James? Right?
I was just hitting it with the Kirk. Well, that was like the
I know
infamous
Kirk Cousins. I know where you're going with it.
Okay. I mean, I think this Hawkinson edition is great. We'll see how it impacts everyone else too. Like, is Adam Thielen, who's been around the block, does he take a step back? Because we see Thielen can work all over the field. Does the addition of Hawkinson maybe moving like into the slot, like you said, impact Thielen's slot role? Or I think it's a great addition, and this should be a fun game today with the narratives at hand and with Hawkinson's addition. Yeah,
I agree with you there as well. Listen, we got some questions already in chat. We're going to hit them as they come to them. Get in the game. Etienne or Jacobs, he has to start one. His other running back is Kenneth Walker. They got Arizona. How do you feel about that running back group? Would you start Etienne and Jacobs and kick out Kenneth Walker, or would you start Kenneth Walker and pick between Etienne and Jacobs here?
I mean, I think Walker has the worst matchup of the three. Arizona's actually been good against the run. The one problem is they give up touchdowns. I love Etienne and the workload that he's gotten, and I think he can be really dangerous in the passing game today, especially. I would probably kick out Walker, John. I think both Jacobs and Etienne are like borderline top 5 running backs this week.
Yeah, I listen. I like them both. Again, Jacobs, I think he's in a really great bounce back spot after what happened last week, where they just got shut down by the Saints. But the Saints have a historically good run defense, like dating back, like it feels like a decade at this point. Teams just like don't really run well on the New Orleans Saints defense there. Now you're going up against a Jacksonville team. I think they're bottom 10 team against run in terms of fantasy points allowed to the running back position. And then, of course, there's a home run for Etienne. Everybody and their brother is playing Etienne, mother, sister, uncle, aunt. They all know. Play Travis Etienne this week against the Raiders. Last week, my biggest call was playing Alvin Kamara against the Raiders. At the time, they were allowing the most receptions to the running back position in football. And they gave up a ton of catches to Kamara. Now, they got overtaken by the Chiefs because they had to go face Christian McCaffrey later in the afternoon, and they tore them apart. But still, like they're a bottom 3 team in receptions allowed to running backs. There in terms of DVOA, I think they're a bottom 5 team in DVOA against running back pass plays. There is no obviously James Robinson there anymore. He's getting all of that usage carrying the football, right? Like he's tremendous running the football. His best skill set, most stock coming out of college, is his ability to catch the football. And they haven't really featured that enough yet, I feel like. this feels like a great opportunity for him to go out there and be involved in the passing offense a bit more today. It's a great spot for Evan Ingram as well. The Raiders are a bad team against tight ends. Last week, again, kind of helped their case a little bit. They faced Juwan Johnson. He had zeros across the board. But you're talking about a tight end that's not as involved in the offense. Evan Ingram's involved in the offense today.
Right.
If they struggle against tight ends and Evan Ingram's going to go get his 8-7 targets there, shout out Andrew Cooper, then he's going to probably have his. So those are two guys from Jacksonville I'm big on today. I had Trevor Lawrence as the cover of my quarterback coach this week for the DFS content we put over at Fantasy Alarm. So I really like sort of that 3-man stack. It's super cheap in DFS today. Lawrence is only $5,200 on DraftKings. He's at home. Etienne's in this mid 6K range. Ingram's in the 3K range. Like super cheap stack there. Getting those three into your lineups if you want to be a little contrarian, I think. Outside, of course, of Etienne today, but I'm going to go Etienne and Jacobs there as well again in the game. I know Kenneth Walker had a good spot against Arizona a few weeks ago, but I just like the two matchups there better.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree. And again, Arizona has allowed touchdowns, and Kenneth Walker is scoring touchdowns, but they're not really giving up anything on the ground. I mean, they're bottom 10 in terms of yards given up against the running back position. So, yes, we might see Kenneth Walker get into the end zone, but I think this is going to be tough sledding between the 20s. So we're in full agreement. I think it's Jacobs and it's Etienne.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there as well. All right, so we talked about Hockenson. What are your thoughts on Claypool going from Pittsburgh to Chicago?
I think it's interesting, right? Obviously, it may not be an upgrade for Claypool originally. Like, we're going to get a limited snap share, but like anything could be better than a situation that was brewing in Pittsburgh. I mean, they drafted George Pickens. Claypool announced Pickens at the draft. I think that's hysterical. Thinking back, like, oh, he literally announced his replacement at the end of the day.
Right.
There was a lot of cooks in the kitchen there, and there's just not that in Chicago. And we've seen over the last few weeks Justin Fields' development. And that, yes, the development has been because they're designing more plays on the ground for Fields and stuff, but that's going to open up the pass. We know the Bears have 3 guys that are capable of rushing the ball, including Fields, and that's going to open up play action. That's going to open up the RPO. And I think Claypool can get back to being a touchdown scorer. Chicago has like no red zone threats. Like Mooney hasn't scored. Komet's been a 0 in fantasy this year. Claypool's that big body that already has a 10 touchdown season on his resume for a young guy. I think it's a good fit, really good fit for Justin Fields, and a good fit for Claypool. I think this week, aside, because I don't think it's going to be hard for him to pick up the playbook in a week. But I think long-term, Chase Claypool has found a good home in Chicago.
Yeah, Matt Eberflus gave us the great information that he'll play anywhere from 10 to 35 snaps, which is like one series or half a game. It's
right.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thanks
awesome.
their Bears coaching staff for giving us all of that information. But I'm 100% with you there. I think Claypool is a huge upgrade. Yeah, I've made this analogy or comparison a few times already this week. Some pushback, but as big as I was on Jalen Hurts this offseason, right? Everybody said he couldn't throw the football. And I said, true, he can't throw the football, but who was he throwing the football to when you said he couldn't throw the football? And it was Jalen Reagor, it was J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, it was a bunch of no-name wide receivers. And of course, Devonta Smith, who as a rookie had a great rookie season, but like that's who he was trying to throw the football to. You got him A.J. Brown. That now moves Smith to the wide receiver 2. Goddard is basically their wide receiver 3. And Hurts is having a breakout season throwing the football. Why? Because he has guys who can catch the football when he throws it to them. So, and that can get open, unlike the other 2 receivers. So now you have Justin Fields here going to Darnell Mooney, who I like. Darnell Mooney's proven to be a good receiver. I like Cole Kmet, but I feel he's not a number 1 or number 2. I think he's a good complementary piece. Then after that was Equanimeous St. Brown, Velus Jones, N'Keal Harry. Like, which of those guys were helping out Justin Fields in the passing game? None of them, right? They could maybe get open here, but they're not talented receivers. Most of them probably shouldn't be in the league or should be special teams players. Now you're going in and you're getting Claypool to bring into this offense as a legitimate wide receiver. Maybe their true wide receiver 1 when it's all said and done over Mooney. Mooney obviously still kind of holds that role, but then you can slot everybody in correctly. Claypool, Mooney, and Kmet can be that third guy that defenses aren't just shutting him down as a safety blanket, because they have to worry about a 6'4", 240-pound Chase Claypool who's running a 4.4 down the field, or Brandon Mooney who ran a 4.32 down the field. Like, those guys are big, they're fast, and defenses now have to defend that game differently. And if Fields is going to go up there and throw the football, and maybe he makes a bad throw, Claypool can bail him up, like we've seen A.J. Brown bail out Jalen Hurts this year. So that's how I look at it. I'm a big fan of this move. I think it's great for Fields that he's starting to really show some improvement and development over these last couple of games. People were already ready to write him off, and it was completely unfair. Get him talent, and then see what can happen. I feel that way about Zach Wilson a little bit. They got him talent. He hasn't really improved at all, right? Like, you know, and you're wondering, like, all right, well, like, maybe this kid doesn't have it. They're not even using Elijah Moore for whatever reason. You know, Denzel Mims was out there last week, ran the second most snaps in that offense. You know, he has a decent offensive line. He had the running game. He has a coach. I believe in Robert Saleh. But Zach Wilson hasn't proven yet that he can make those improvements yet. He hasn't been that guy. So I see that improvement in Fields. I think he's using his running to his ability as well. And it's just going to open up that offense. So big fan of that Claypool move. We're getting a lot of questions start rolling in chat. Welcome everybody that's over there on the YouTube and Discord channels. Again, if you want to get your questions answered first, if you want to cut that line, sign up. It's completely free. Go to your app store, iTunes, Google Play. Find the Bettor Sports Network app, download it, join the show. Completely free. You get right into our chat here, and you can cut the line, right? So I see everybody over there, you know, in YouTube, and we'll get to your questions as they come across here. And James, remember, you know, at the show open here, we have Jock Market as one of our sponsors today. Great app if you want to go over there and download that as well. You know, it's basically a stock market game for players. You can go in and get some bids on, and basically based on their performance, their value will change as well. And you can get involved in that for today's slate. You can get involved for that for the rest of the week, the rest of the season as well. I was on the app this morning. They have, you know, the market open for week 6 through 14. You can get in there. You can bid on players. I think the bidding opened actually at 9 this morning. And you can start getting in some shares of players. And, you know, just like this normal stock market is, if the player does well, their value goes up, you make money, right? And there's no zeroing out as well in this. If you put in $1, you're going to get the dollar back. You don't come back with a zero. You know, so it's a great opportunity to go ahead and download Jock Market app and get involved in everything that they got going on. They're sponsoring the Game Day Playbook show. They're sponsoring all shows today on the Bettor Sports Network as well. So definitely make sure you go check out Jock Market in your app stores. And we're going to go over there and have some fun with that today, James.
Yeah, I just saw someone actually just bid on Justin Fields, John. So they were listening to the Bettor Sports Network, and they heard you talk about Justin Fields, and then I saw his price just go up. And I like the comparison you made to the A.J. Brown thing. We saw it on Thursday. Like, A.J. Brown went up between 3 defenders and caught a touchdown. That could be Chase Claypool for Justin Fields. So no surprise, you talk about Justin Fields and his stock on Jock Market rising as we speak.
I have great matchup against Miami. Miami's pass defense this year has not been good at all. And, you know, again, if they're going to be being involved in Claypool a little bit today, could spread them a little bit thin and allow Fields to use his mobility. One of my favorite props today, and I saw this actually over on Underdog Fantasy. I know Big Bun will find his way into the chat at some point during the show today, asking us if we have any Underdog props for him today, which we hit all 5 last week. There he is. There's Ed. What's up, Ed? It was Fields' total yardage. I think it was like 226.5, like total yards, rushing and passing. I'm a big fan of that prop there today. So I would certainly go ahead and make a check to that. James, I mentioned earlier we're going to be joined by a guest today from his honeymoon. Andrew Cooper is in on the show. Let's see if we can bring up Coop here. There he is. What's up, Coop, man? Rocking the Patriots hat out in Prague. Got himself a nice Stein, man. How we doing?
What's up, gang? How's it going? Happy football day from across the pond.
Happy week 9, Coop.
What's happening?
I saw you were up super early this morning getting your tight end rankings done for week 9. Why don't you give a little insights to people on what you're looking at for this week?
Yeah, man. Kind of a crazy week with you got bye weeks, you got injuries. There's after the top few guys, I'm just going shooting for the moon with a lot of guys. So, you got to start Kelsey, got to start Everett, Ertz. After that, I'm willing to go there. Ingram, Juwan Johnson, Isaiah Likely, get crazy. Start Taysom Hill. Like it's rough out there with all these bye weeks. So, my rankings are up there now on my Twitter. I think my wife would kill me if I do any more than this here. But yeah, here's I'm right now at the Strahov Monastery. It's a monastery in Prague that's also a brewery. They can do like a Trappist brewery, so kind of cool. In the Czech Republic.
That is pretty wild. I hope you enjoy the rest of your honeymoon. We obviously miss having you here on the Game Day Playbook. Hopefully, while you're across the way, Evan Ingram will continue to make you proud there, guys.
Six targets in all 4 of the last games. Nobody has more targets than him over the last 4 games since that Hurricane game. Got a great matchup versus a top 5 tight end matchup this week. It's wheels up, dude. I just had to come over here while he was in Europe to get him fired up. I think that's what we needed. Speaking of getting fired up, I see some folks in the chat there. Shout out Tommy, Better Boss, Bunnell, Jimmy. You got the whole gang out, baby. Is everyone fired up or what?
Oh yeah, it's a big week 9, Coop. A lot of people got a lot of roster decisions making. It's crunch time. Listen, we spent all season long preparing for fantasy football. The fantasy football playoffs are 5 weeks away, Coop. Right? For the majority of leagues, week 14, week 15, like playoffs are coming before you know it. So we're trying to get people here, answering their questions, getting them ready to hopefully crush some fantasy football matchups this week, man.
No better place to do it, man. Fantasy Alarm is the place to be, and I appreciate you guys jumping in and answering those questions for me on Twitter. That's why I tagged you boys. I knew you could have my back. I got your back whenever. So cheers. Shout out Fantasy Alarm. Better Sports. Let's go, baby. Go Pats.
Good. Have fun. Talk to you
Pats.
later, man.
Gotta take it easy, guys.
I gotta take my cheers back after the Go Pats there.
Coop from Prague, ladies and gentlemen, joining in, of course, the usual co-host here on the Game Day Playbook. You also see him on Fun Yard Fantasy Monday through Fridays, starting at 7 o'clock with that group there. James has done a fantastic job, obviously, filling in for Coop when needed. I always love having you on here, man. But Coop's out there enjoying his honeymoon right now. So hopefully, what do you think? A church, also a brewery?
I don't know. I don't know. I would probably, that goes into the category with daylight savings time with me. Probably not a thing that should be taking place. But you know what? Prague. Do you, Prague?
Exactly. All right, let's get to some of these questions over on YouTube. I don't want to think we're ignoring you guys. Again, if you want to cut that line, you got to go download the app on the Bettor Sports Network app in your iTunes and Google Play Store. It is completely free to do. If you don't want to wait for your YouTube question to get answered, download the app, get into our store here, into our chat here, and we'll answer your questions right away. We pops right up on our screen. We answer them, we give you a shout out, and we go back to what we're doing. So if you don't want to wait in line, go to the iTunes, Google Play Store, download the Bettor Sports Network app, and get involved in today's show. Call in, just like Coop did. If you want to come on the show with video chat, voice chat, you can come in, ask us your question live. We can talk with you a little bit and give you some advice. Let's go over here to our YouTube chat. Brown Panther wants to know, Kenyon Drake or Antonio Gibson in a PPR league today?
I like Antonio Gibson. No McKissick. The role in the passing game could be quite tasty.
I thought Brian Robinson's questionable. I thought,
I think the tag. I think the tag is lifted. I think he's okay.
Okay,
but it's still been Gibson in the backfield the last few games and 7 targets, 7 receptions last week.
Yeah.
This could be a very good game for Gibson, especially game script like theory. I like Gibson there.
Yeah, I like Gibson too as well. Just the idea that again he looks more explosive. I've had this conversation a few times where the volume was great for Ryan Robinson the last couple of games, but it wasn't great yards per carry. That offense really wasn't moving much. Gibson got in the game. He just looked faster. He looked quicker, more explosive, and he can catch football. So, if you're in a PPR league, I'm gonna roll in that direction as well. Felipe Del Rio says, "Morning, fellas. Should I move on from Brady? His other options in free agency are Tannehill, Jones, Heineke, Goff, or Wilson. Tom Brady or that group of free agent class here for James?"
Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady.
Goff would
better
like
days
maybe be the only other option I would consider, just from the pure volume standpoint that they're going to throw the football. But no, you gotta roll with Tom Brady there. I know it's been disappointing, but talent for talent, the offense of Tampa Bay is going to trump anything that you're picking up there. So stick with Tom Brady there. No biases aside. No Patriots shirt biases aside here. You know, I see Roto Buzz guy in there. What's up, Howard? Coop's hat is as bad as John's shirt. Sounds like
Agreed.
a jealous Jets fan who got his butt handed to him once again by the Patriots last weekend. We'll put that one aside. Should I trade Kamara and Pittman for Hopkins and ATN? I would probably do that deal.
I would 100% do that deal because
almost feels like one of those trades where it's like they actually haven't been proposed that trade. It's a trade like they want to offer, and they're like, oh. So, like, if you got that trade, slam the accept button. If you're sending that trade, expect an instant reject. So, take it for that. I love getting the Hopkins ATN side of it if you can swing it for sure. Pablo wants to know Pitts or Hawkinson today.
I mean, it's interesting. I'll probably go Kyle Pitts because I know they said Hawkinson is going to play a significant role, but like, is that coach speak? I don't know. I'll go Pitts just for the uncertainty. But again, I'm excited to see what Hawkinson's role is going to be in this Minnesota offense.
Well, let me ask you, is Hawkinson's uncertainty any more uncertain about what Kyle Pitts has been doing week to week?
No.
Right?
No.
I might go Hawk here. I mean, listen, Pitts has to deal with Derwin James this week as well, which is a really tough matchup for opposing tight ends. He power bombed Travis Kelce on like Sunday Night Football. It's hard to it's tough. It's a tough buy. I know everybody loves to. People really want Kyle Pitts to be a thing, right? Like they really, really want Kyle Pitts to be that third round pick that they drafted. And fulfill the prophecy that he was expected to be like the number one tight end in fantasy. And you got glimpses, right? Like last week he had a 5 for 80 and score. And you're like, there it is. There's the Kyle Pitts we all drafted. Sure, against the Carolina Panthers in a game that got completely out of hand, right? Like zero defense was played there in the second half of that football game. The Chargers defense hasn't been great, but they have been good against tight ends. They do have a guy that can defend tight ends. And the way to beat them is through the running game. They got Cordell Patterson back today. So I don't know. I feel like Hawkinson is I would probably lean it because if he plays 50% of the snaps, he's making more targets still than what Kyle Pitts gets playing 100% of the snaps. They just they don't throw enough for me in that game. So I know it's definitely a coin toss. I just don't believe in Pitts and Mariota and that whole offense right now. So not really where I'm at with it. Smitty wants to know Connor or Patterson as a flex play today. We don't know the Connor's at. It's going to be a game time decision. So,
I mean, I like James Conner if he plays. That's the thing. I think there's a lot of opportunity here. I think that game is going to be much better than it was the first go around. I'm going to go Connor. I mean, CPAT is also, he said when he returned to practice, he said he was 90%. So I expect him to, get a solid workload, but they've also developed two guys who get double-digit carries every single week. Is it going to be a three-headed attack initially when CPAT comes like this, entry back to the active roster? So I'm going to go Connor if he's active, and signs are pointing to him being active. He's going to work out before the game and make that official, but all signs pointing to Connor. I do kind of like James Conner. I think there's some big time touchdown appeal in this game.
Yeah, I would say you have to have a backup plan because Connor, there's only 2 4 p.m. games today, James, which is kind of wild for this slate here.
It's awful.
And Arizona Seattle is on that 4 p.m. slate. So if you start Connor, you're going to need to have somebody on your roster to put in case he ends up getting ruled out. At least he's your flex play, so you can throw in anybody at that spot. You're not locking him into the running back. I would go the running back. I mean, I would go Cordell Patterson here. Yes, he said he was 90%, but he was showing highlight videos of him basically running full speed. He's practicing all week. I don't know. I don't see Caleb Huntley, bumping out Patterson. Patterson had in the 4 games he played, one of them obviously he left with the injury. He had 3 touchdowns in those 4 games. He had 120 yards rushing in one of them. He had 140 yards rushing in the other. So when he's like good to go, he is their lead running back. I don't think Algier or Huntley, as good as they've held the job for the last couple of weeks, is really going to bump him off of that one there. Braden Powell has Benjamin or Cordell Patterson. Sort of the same thing. If James Conner's active, Benjamin's dead. So I got to go Patterson for that question as well.
He's dead.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, what's Benjamin going to provide you if James Conner ends up being active there? So, not really a spot that I like going to. Some other news from this week. We talked about the trade deadline. We saw Chase Edmonds traded from Miami to Denver, and then we saw Miami go out and trade for Jeff Wilson. This is yet another former 49ers running back now joining his former coach in Miami. Raheem Mostert has actually had a very good season. Knock on wood, has stayed healthy to this point in the year as well. What are your expectations now for Jeff Wilson? They've said he's going to be involved in the game plan out of the gate. Do you see him overtaking Mostert? Does this now become more of a 50-50 timeshare? What are your thoughts now in that move?
I mean, it's definitely interesting because you got to consider. First, you got to look at Mostert and his body of work throughout his career. He's a 30-year-old running back who has been oft injured, and he's approaching his career high in carries, and we're only in week 9. Like he could be there in 2 weeks. And then it's kind of like how pitchers in baseball like get to those innings limit, and people and managers start going, we need to maybe dial it back by to stretch you out a little bit. I think that is kind of the addition of Wilson. I think Wilson provides a very solid foundation, one that Edmonds didn't, especially in the running game. I do maybe see them scaling Mostert's workload back just to keep him fresh for the postseason. Because let's face it, this Miami team is built for the postseason. Like They are very highly, with how good Tua Tagovailoa has looked, they are a very good offense that needs their guys healthy. So I think we're going to look at a situation where maybe not this week, maybe in weeks moving forward. It's not that Wilson had to, really, he knows Mike McDaniel's offense, but I think it's going to be close to a 50-50, just given Mostert, the whole track record of Raheem Mostert, the injuries, the age. And again, we're already there at his innings limit, right? At his career high in carries. So
he's got Dave Roberts out there as his manager, throwing him.
He does have to. If anyone plays MLB DFS, you know what we're talking about right there.
Throwing 5 shutout out of the game after 87 pitches.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I think so. Here's how I kind of broke it down. I recorded this on the fantasy football podcast that we do this week that released, and I talked about it with Howard Bender on the DFS podcast as well. My thoughts for the usage of Wilson will be sort of short yardage and red zone. I think that he's a bigger back, he's a bit more of a power back than Mostert is that speed back. So you can see Mostert, fill in sort of between the 20s, in those long yardage. He can also catch the football. We've never really seen Wilson be a pass catching back, in an offense there. So I think Mostert can sort of fill that role. And when they get into the 3rd and 3s or the goal line situations, you can see Wilson out there. Potentially as a goal line vulture there. So that's how I figure it's going to work. We'll see, how it looks. Mostert's done nothing to lose the job. But I agree with you. They didn't have much else behind him. If he went down, you were looking at Edmonds and Myles Gaskin, right? And while they moved on from Edmonds, Wilson was a top 24 running back in fantasy this year before the 49ers went and got CMC. So I'm definitely a fan of his today. Get in the Game has a question: who's your sleeper DFS QB of the day? I'm going Justin Fields today against 100%, Miami.
100%.
And I don't think that's going to be sleeper. I think a lot of people are going to kind of be in on that for the value there. I've talked about on the cover of my DFS QB coach this week, Trevor Lawrence. That could be a pivot for you. Pretty much the exact same price point. I definitely like them both. Yeah, Al in chat right there says Lawrence with a question mark. I agree. Again, cover of the DFS QB coach this week was Trevor Lawrence. So if you're stacking up Jags today, I like that. And you can get him in there with Ingram and get him in there with ATN. I think that will play up against the Raiders. I don't know about Carr, though, Al. Again, he hasn't had a huge I think he's only had one game where he had a big passing game for fantasy points. They've really leaned on the running a lot this week, and I think this is a bounce-back spot for Jacobs. So Carr may have an okay game throwing the football, but I don't know if he's going to be enough to win you a GPP or not this week. So that's my card take. I'd rather play Lawrence and Fields down in that low 5K range for sure.
Fields only 6 per. If you go to the Fantasy Alarm projections, the ownership projections, 6% at 5,300 on DraftKings.
Okay.
Like when you're looking at the landscape of the quarterback position this week too, it's not great. Like it's Josh Allen, and then it's kind of the rest of the field. The 5,300 for Fields is too cheap considering the dual threat ability. I mean, we're adding a weapon offensively for him and Claypool. He has 3 straight weeks of 60 yards or more rushing, with 2 weeks in a row with a rushing touchdown. Like, I mean, you give us 24 to the 26 fantasy points at quarterback at 5,300, and that lets you spend up on Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams, who, pair with Derek Carr this week. I actually do kind of find that pretty appealing. I think they're going to get Adams way more involved this week. I think Justin Fields is a slam dunk, but I actually am probably on the other side of the fence. I actually do think Derek Carr is in play. Jacksonville just getting gashed by quarterback passing yards. A lot of yards allowed by Jacksonville, almost 2,000 this year already in just 8 games. So I think Derek Carr is a little sneaky. Do I prefer Fields and Trevor Lawrence on the other side of the game? Yeah, but I do think nobody's going to play Derek Carr, especially after they got shut out last week.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there as well. We got another question here in the chat. Big Watts wants to know, Pitts or Hawkinson in PPR? It's a guillotine league, so your help would be extremely appreciated here, James.
We're split on this, because as much as I agree, like if Hawkinson got 50% of the snaps, like he could be involved, but like, and it's different. It's a different offense than it's been in years past, but like it's still so condensed this year. Like even with Kevin O'Connell's implementation of his offense, the Minnesota offense is so condensed. Like, is 50% of the snaps, if that's what we're setting the bar at for Hawkinson, is it enough to get him into that trust tree that Minnesota has built of Cook, of Jefferson, of Thielen? Like nobody has cracked that tree, John. Only when Dalvin Cook is out, Alexander Madison.
My problem is I've seen Marcus Mariota throw less than 20 times too many times this season. So give me at least Cousins. I know is going to throw 25 to 30 here. I'm just going to go Hawkinson. I'm sorry. I just don't know if Kyle Pitts is going to be able to put it back-to-back weeks, especially with Cordell Patterson coming back, especially with Derwin James as the guy that's going to be all over Kyle Pitts in this game. Like, I just don't know. I just don't think I can do it. So again, if you want your questions answered, I see a billion chat questions in YouTube. I promise you we're going to get to them. But if you don't want to wait, go into the App Store and download the Bettor Sports Network app. Completely free to do, completely free to sign up. And then you click join the show right now, the Gameday Playbook, and you get your questions right into our Gameday Playbook chat here, and we answer those first. Again, we're going to get to your YouTube questions. I promise you here, it's a big week. Like I said, James, we thought it was going to be a busy chat day today. A lot of people have buys. A lot of people have questions on who to start and who to play. Kevin Hawley in our chat right here. Good morning, man. Pick 2, Herbert, Hardman, Carter, Dillon, or Mooney in a PPR league.
I like Herbert and Carter, especially with James Robinson a little banged up. And Khalil Herbert, I think sneaky RB2 upside this week. So I'll go with Herbert and Carter.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Herbert in the Montgomery situation? Was last week sort of just a game flow circumstance, or does he just look better to you than Montgomery right now?
I mean, he looks better. A couple weeks ago, I saw a stat that said Khalil Herbert was a bottom 5 pass blocker, and David Montgomery was a top 5 pass blocker at the running back position. So I think Chicago was kind of holding on to that for a little bit. And I think it's going to continue to be a split. It's kind of like almost Atlanta-ish, where they're just like running the ball and they don't care. Like they're not going to put the ball in Justin Fields' hands 30, 40 times. But Herbert just looks so explosive, and Montgomery doesn't. I think Montgomery is a good running back, but like another year where David Montgomery is averaging less than 4 yards per carry. Like eventually you have a minivan and you have a Porsche. Like Khalil Herbert's 6 yards per carry and just busting out 30, 40, 50 yards per carry. Like if they're not going to throw the ball 30 to 40 times, who cares about your pass protection? Just give you're going to you're designing RPOs, you're putting Justin Fields in positions where he's not, getting crushed by opposing defenses. So, I mean, if Herbert continues, and I was kind of on the belief like they're going to keep giving Montgomery a lot of the workload as long as, Khalil Herbert can't pass block. But right now, it just seemingly doesn't matter because they're not passing. So I do think Khalil Herbert is going to continue to see more and more of the workload. And, if you didn't realize, he was the portion in this comparison. Dave Montgomery was the minivan.
Listen, supposedly they always say if you ask an offensive lineman, it's a lot easier to run block than pass block because you can just kind of put your head down and bury your helmet into a guy's chest. So I agree with you. He should be able to maybe move the pile a little bit more there. So you went with who? Herbert and who of that group? He needs two of them.
Michael Carter.
I like Mooney, man. I don't know. I kind of like Mooney. Carter.
I'm just not. You're gonna play both.
Buffalo.
You're gonna play both Bears assets. I mean, it's not like terrible. Like the offense is obviously has looked better. And
what's your expectations for Carter today against Buffalo?
I mean, I think Carter is, especially if James Robinson is limited at all, or if he even doesn't, if he doesn't play, Michael Carter is a very able pass catcher. I mean, we saw just last week he had 7 targets. He's already done that twice this year. When he's kind of been the lead guy, like week 1, him and Breece Hall it was obviously Carter starting and Breece Hall coming in, and then we obviously saw what happened. But I think Michael Carter is super solid, especially this is a PPR format, right? I guess PPR. So I think Michael Carter could be a very viable pass catching option. I know, they have Ty Johnson there. We've seen Ty Johnson be impactful in the passing game over years past, but we haven't in this year at all. So I don't hate Mooney. I do think he's going the Claypool's addition opens the field up for him, but I don't know, playing 2 Bears.
It doesn't sound great. I agree. I guess I might honestly. I feel like maybe Mooney then over Herbert. We don't know for sure Herbert's going to be the guy, right? We're just basing it off of last week, or do you just think that's the
is it just last week? We've seen now 2 straight weeks where he's had a touchdown and 13 plus touches. I think David Montgomery is still the guy who's going to contribute more in the passing game too. Herbert just is kind of a zero there.
Monty did play 70% of the snaps last week.
It's just, I guess he played 70% of snaps, but Khalil Herbert still had 16 carries. And the week before it's 12 carries. We're seeing electric stuff out of Khalil Herbert.
It's basically when Herbert's on the field, he's touching the football. Is basically what it comes down.
And I guess here's the question again. It was a 70-30 split, or it was 70 whatever it was for Khalil Herbert.
70-28. He played 22 snaps. He had 16 carries and 22 snaps. I mean,
that's only going to. David Montgomery 3.5 carries, lost a fumble, or 3 yards per carry, lost a fumble last week. The trend is only going to shrink. It was kind of like the James Robinson and Travis Etienne argument earlier in the year. James Robinson was really good, and then he was he slowed down. And then you saw Travis Etienne slowly, kind of take the reins. And then what did they do? They were like, oh, we're just James Robinson's a viable asset on the trade market. And then I don't think that's ever going to take place. But I think Herbert is going to shrink that gap. And if he's still going to get double-digit touches, even when he's playing limited snaps, he's a big play waiting to happen every time he touches the ball.
Yeah. Next question we got over here in our chat. PPR sit 1, Pittman, Jackson, or Alec Pierce today. So you got 3 Colts. 3 Colts players.
Sitting Pierce.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit Pierce today there as well. Not a great spot, I don't think, for the Colts offense there. Against a lot of people were like, oh, pick up Deion Jackson. He's an RB1 this week. It's the Patriots have done very well against the run. They've stopped Nick Chubb, right? The only time they struggled against the run was when you have a mobile quarterback. And I understand Ellinger is a mobile quarterback, but he didn't even really run last week. And I don't know, what's Bill Belichick's defense going to do against that? So, that's my question here. I don't think we can go with any Colts confidently there, but Pierce is probably going to be the one that I split. James, Jock Market offers live daily markets for sports that let you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time with other users for real money. And each share is a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. Download now using promo code BETTER to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Your first market will also be risk-free with losses refunded up to $100. Can't beat risk-free there, James. Download the Jock Market app now. Jock MKT using promo code BETTER. That's the Jock Market app there. Got to go check it out. Download it now. Again, free to download and a risk-free entry there for your first deposit up to $100. When James and I get back, we're going to start breaking down these games here. Again, a bit short week because of buys. We got plenty of things to talk about still. This is the Game Day Playbook presented by Fantasy Slam here on the Bettor Sports Network.
By Dave Eisman, co-founder of Jock Market. Dave, what's up, man?
Hey guys, how are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Doing?
Thank you for
coming on.
sponsoring the show on the network and everything, man. We much appreciate it.
How would you recommend a novice make their introduction into Jock Market?
For most people, we recommend we have free beginner contests. So anyway, if you played fewer than 50 events, free to enter. And instead of trading with cash like you do in our cash markets, we give everyone chips, the same number of chips to trade, and we rank people at the end based on how many chips you finish with. So totally free to enter, only against other novices, and you can sort of build a portfolio in a way that you would with real cash, just in a way that's a little more risk-free. For the people that are more, a little more adventurous and you want to deposit right away, I'd say pick, one or two players you think are going to be undervalued, and it's just that simple, right? They're undervalued today. I think they're going to outperform. Buy a couple shares and watch what happens to the price. Watch where people are offering to pay for them. And then as the game goes on, you say like, hey, Lamar Jackson's having a real bad first half, let's say. He's probably going to be the most expensive player. There might be opportunity to buy low on him or kind of watch as the game goes on and how the prices react. I'd say that's probably the best way to.
So it's like a second screen experience where you kind of have to have it up while you're watching the games on Sunday and stuff like that to really be able to truly take advantage, huh?
Actually, what's great is that we have a lot of people that do that, but a lot of people will buy before the games and just
come back and check.
Yeah, because we have the guaranteed payouts at the end. You don't have to trade. There might be an opportunity for you to, reallocate your funds or invest more, buy, sell, short sell, whatever you want to do. But we have plenty of people who just buy and hold, and that's their whole experience, and they do pretty well on that.
Today's NFL Game Day takeover on Bettor Sports Network is sponsored by Jock Market.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Game Day Playbook here. Jon Impemba with James Grande breaking down the Week 9 action for you. Everybody, I see all of your questions over in YouTube. We're going to get to you all right now, I promise you here. We got some game previews to break down. As I see your questions, we're going to do our best to answer them. If you want your questions answered immediately, though, go to your app store. Download the Bettor Sports Network app, completely free to sign up, free to join the show. Join the show, get your questions put directly into our Bettor Sports Network chat, and James and I will answer those immediately. You don't even have to wait in the line if you're watching right now. It's as simple as that, to go to your app store and download the app and join the show. It's no credit cards, no nothing's needed. Sign up, join today, and get involved with the Bettor Sports Network. And be with us all day long after our show. Stick with the program. 11 to 1, we have Front Yard Fantasy there. Those guys are going to answer your questions, get you all of the needed inactives for your lineup questions there today as well. Give you any of the updated news breaking from Schefter or Rappaport or whomever as the day comes out, as we get closer to roster lock. And then after roster lock, from 1 through the rest of the day, you have the Bettor Zone there with the Bettor Sports Network crew, guys. So got to stick with the channel all day long. Watch the games with us. Get your questions answered and maybe win some money along the way here. I got a lot to do with it. James, let's just run through a couple of these questions first here. The Jock Market chat we got going on over on YouTube here, and we'll get to our game previews. We've done the Pitts and Hawkinson question a lot. That's going to be a popular one, I guess, today. A lot of people want to Pitts Hawkinson. So. We're kind of split on it. I think Hawkinson. James leans a little bit of Pitts. Sorry not to be so helpful when it comes to that question there. Henderson or Patterson for today? I don't think we can play Henderson with Cam Akers being active. So C-Pat is the way I would go for that one. Andre wants in a Rondale Moore, Jacoby Myers, and a half PPR.
I really like the Rondale Moore usage, but we also love Jacoby Myers. So I'm going to go Jacoby Myers slightly over Rondale, but I do like Rondale, in current Arizona, I think D-Hop being back has opened up a lot for him.
Yeah, I'm going to lean Rondale for that fact. I think D-Hop being back opens up a lot for Rondale Moore. We've seen the last couple of weeks he's starting to break out. Not a great spot for Jacoby Myers going up against the Colts cornerbacks here. Probably draws like Stephon Gilmore today. Like, not ideal. And it's only half PPR too. I feel like you need the most of your value, especially in the Patriots passing offense, is going to come from Jacoby Myers in a full PPR league. His 4 for 60 hits differently when you're only getting 2 points for the for the catches and not the full point. So let's see here. I'm gonna do some start sit guys. Not really looking at trades. So sorry for not kind of jumping over a couple of these. Carr or Danny Dimes?
Rest of season. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, Luka Magic. Shout out Luka Magic. I'll go with Derek Carr. Giants have a pretty tough schedule starting on like Thanksgiving. It's like Dallas. They still have to play Philly twice. So I'll go Carr rest of season. I think we'll see how good Daniel Jones really is by year's end.
Yeah, we'll see how good Daniel Jones is for sure. Good morning, Ann Rowdy in our chat right here. Again, jump in the YouTube line. You want to jump the YouTube line, get into our Bettor Sports Network chat. Ann wants to know Herbert, Tua, or Geno in Fields today. She's got a couple of quarterback questions for a few different leagues. How are we going to go about this one? Herbert or Tua today, James?
Herbert or Tua? I mean, they are neck and neck. Tua's looked so good, dude. He has looked so good. And Herbert does not have weapons today. I'll go Tua, and I think Fields on the second question.
Austin Eckler's reception prop today is at 6, and I think the over is probably likely to happen.
A lock, close to a lock, like
close
as
to
close.
Listen, I will never say anything is a lock. I'm not one of those betting touts that's like you gotta hit it, it can't miss. Any bet could miss at any time. It happens all the time. He pulls a hamstring. Oh no, what are you gonna do? Knock on wood, that doesn't happen. I have a lot of Austin Eckler. So listen, I agree with you though. I'm going to go Tua. I think I'm going Tua. Did you say Tua? I'm going Tua.
Yeah, Tua and Fields. I think for this and Fields for the second.
Yeah, Tua and Fields for me there. And good luck with any. I'm sure we'll see more of your questions coming in. I know generally you ask about 45 tight end questions, so we'll do our best for you today. And when they come through the chat. All right, back to our YouTube here channel. Sit one, Evans, Godwin, Palmer, or Patterson today in a PPR league.
Oof. Probably sitting. I don't want to sit Josh Palmer. I don't want to sit. What do you think, John? Is it CPAT? Just because we don't know the workload, or are you sitting one of the Bucs receivers?
No, I mean it's probably CPAT. Listen, Godwin probably has a good matchup against Ramsey. Ramsey hasn't done anything today.
Right.
It's probably Patterson. Tamba's at home. I'll trust Evans and Godwin for another week. Godwin's been good, but Evans has been hit or miss. I like Patterson a lot. I really do. I like him more for DFS. If you had to start him in seasonal, like obviously that's fine. But like you said, we don't know the full usage for him out of the gate here. So if you're looking maybe for like a boom play, if you're looking at like your crap ESPN or Yahoo projections, which are almost never right anyways, and yours projected to lose, like maybe go Patterson and see if he can be that home run play for you today. Because he certainly has the upside. Again, touchdowns in 3 of the 4 games he's played this season.
Right.
Rushing totals of 120 and 140 yards in 2 of the 4 games. So certainly can get there for you if you have to go it. Olave or Palmer for clutch follower over there, full PPR.
I will go Olave, but it's a good problem to have because I think Josh Palmer is in a very good spot.
Yeah.
Just a lot of volume coming his way. A lot of volume. Especially I know DeAndre Carter is expected to play, but like what if DeAndre Carter also it is literally the Josh Palmer show.
All systems go for Gerald Everett if that ends up being the case. And maybe anyways, Gerald Everett ends up being the play. And back in our chat, another question. Sit one of these in PPR. Algier, Robinson, or Marshall. I might sit Robinson, honestly.
I'm definitely playing Terrace Marshall, and I think I'm going to play Algier. I mean, all the things I've been mentioning about CPAT, like, yes, he's back. Yes, he's been great, as you mentioned, and there's a chance he just comes right back and then assumes the running back 1 role with no issues. But off a knee injury, we'll see. So I'm going to sit Brian Robinson as well.
Yeah. Tough waiver wire question. This is what we talked about, James. We knew this morning people were going to wake up and realize they have some roster decisions. Pate over on YouTube. Andrews is out. He doesn't know what to do. His bench has Taylor, who's hurt, Saquon on a bye, Dak on a bye, Hunt on a bye, Cooper on a bye. He has no bench spaces, and he needs to replace Mark Andrews. He wants to know who do you drop of that group. I saw somebody earlier this week tweet out. No, I saw somebody earlier this week tweet out that they dropped Jonathan Taylor. Would you consider dumping JT? Well, I mean, honest question. No jokes aside.
No, I know.
Hasn't played well. Has been injured now for like 2 of the last 3 or 3 of the last 4 weeks.
Yep.
You don't know when he's going to come back. You don't know what his usage is going to be like. Sam Ellinger is the quarterback now in Indy. Are you better off dropping Jonathan Taylor and keeping a Kareem Hunt? Or do you keep Taylor on your roster and hope whenever he gets back, if he's healthy, that he is a usable running back? Because at this point in time, he's not giving you much fantasy value. Maybe his receiving numbers uptick now that Hines is gone, but I think it's a legitimate debate. We talk about all this time, like, when do you cut bait on big name players? Is the bell ringing for Jonathan Taylor here?
It seems similar to Saquon of last year, where like Saquon has the ankle injury in the Dallas game, comes back and just like doesn't look good, and has since said like he was battling through the ankle the entire year, and there weren't as many jump cuts as we have seen from Saquon this entire year and during his rookie campaign when he was great. So maybe, I mean, it's really tough to, like you said, cut ties with the consensus number 1 pick of this year's draft. Although, there will be a lot of people who say, oh, well, I had Christian McCaffrey number 1, whatever. But like, he was either going number 1 or he's going number 2 in every draft, right? Mm-hmm. So I think from that standpoint, it's tough. I guess it depends on who your other quarterback is. Like, if you could cut ties with Dak, then maybe you do that. If you can cut ties with Kareem Hunt, knowing that he is in a timeshare that he is most likely, like, that he is losing out more often than not. I guess, John, I don't want to cut ties.
Jonathan Taylor's fantasy points this year: 23, week 1, great against Houston. 6, 9, 2, 8, 5. It's not good.
Sad. I listen, in the league that you and I are in, I went out and traded for Jonathan Taylor, and I thought I was getting a steal because I gave up 3 guys that should not be in the conversation with Jonathan Taylor. But he hasn't been in the conversation with anybody because he's the biggest bust of fantasy this year. So look, if this ankle injury that he already came out and said is going to persist the entire year is going to continue to persist, then I think, it's a worthy conversation to have. I think we can, if that's where you have to go. Hey, and you know what? Maybe you have enough fab if he comes back next week. Blow all your fab on Jonathan Taylor, but
get him back. Yeah, I would rather keep a player that's at least playing in Kareem Hunt than a guy who may just literally get shut down at any point in time this year. So I'm making the difficult decision to drop Jonathan Taylor. Paid there. I know it will pain you. Just close your eyes. Just like hit the button if you can find it on your computer, and go there, because I just think that's the move. I do. And back in chat, couple of questions for us here. First tight end one, PPR with a tight end premium. Duvernay, no. Andrews potentially, no. We know no Bateman. Alec Pierce or TJ Hawkinson in a full PPR league.
I know it's tight end premium, but again, I'm interested in Hawk long term. I don't know what my feelings are today. I'll go Duvernay with just nobody else available.
Yep, Duvernay is where I'm going, and then Dubs, Gabe Davis, or Duvernay.
Well, the Dubs thing is interesting because we were talking about it before we hopped on air. Lazard, the Packers didn't call anyone up from their practice squad, so I think you're playing Duvernay over Dubs if Lazard and Christian Watson are both healthy. So I'll go Gabe, and I would actually go Duvernay, barring the Packers wide receiver status.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's a better matchup for them too. So I like dubs.
I actually like the others. I like the other side. Well, because
I heard you say you like the Packers.
Well, no, because everything's pointing to Lazard and Christian Watson playing. I think that just muddies up the waters a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what Watson's going to be there, even if he's active. I mean,
before he went down with the concussion, I mean, we heard Aaron Rodgers talk about it. They want to get him more involved. So I actually go Duvernay over Dubs if the Packers guys are officially listed as active.
Okay, that's fine. Davis is just a big home run play, more DFS today. Could have one of those games like he had against Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago. It was like 3 for 180 and 2 scores because the Jets just can't cover him. So, Jay, let's get into some of these game breakdowns. I see all your questions, everybody. But as I just mentioned with Gabe Davis, we do have this Bills-Jets game. Jets are getting 10.5 points, the 45.5 game total. Nyheim Hines now part of this Bills offense here. What are your thoughts on that matchup between these two New York teams?
Well, technically one New York, one New Jersey, but we don't need to talk about it. Yeah, I mean, I think the spread is fair. I think the Jets offense has a lot of question marks without the ability to just turn around and hand the ball off. Zach Wilson needs to have a prove-it game because he looked terrible making decisions last week against New England.
Not
3 interceptions. Yeah, not a great spot for it. He probably going to pick up where he left off in week 9. I think there are like Michael Carter, as we mentioned. I think he's fine and seasonal. I'm interested like the Devin Singletary role today because not only did Nyheim Hines get introduced, we've seen Singletary be the clear-cut RB1 in every competitive game this year. But in every game that is a blowout that Buffalo has, taken place in a bunch of them, he's not really on the field in the second half or in the fourth quarter. And we've seen James Cook take on that role. So what are our expectations for Devin Singletary in a 10.5 point spread? I mean, do you think New York can keep this close enough to where Devin Singletary is like getting fourth quarter reps? Or do you think we see a lot of James Cook and Nyheim Hines today? Because if it's the former and Buffalo blows him out, I don't have like a ton of Devin Singletary interest in like even seasonal. I know it might be tough because we're on Buymageddon and you might be forced into that like just playing him. But like if you have other options in Devin Singletary, I think it's like pretty tough to get to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you there. I had a league where I went 0 RB this year, and I'm 7-1 in this league. I hit a home run with all my wide receivers. Pat myself in the back there. But my running backs, I think I had the worst trade deadline ever. The running backs that I drafted in that league were Devin Singletary, Raheem Mostert, as sort of depth pieces there. And both of them were really carrying me, right? Like they were great late round picks all season long. Kamara was my first round pick. So I didn't go the true 0 RB, but I didn't take another running back till like late in the draft.
Little hero RB.
Riding high on those 2 picks with Mostert and Singletary. Trade deadline comes and they're like, oh, Nyheim Hines goes to Buffalo, Jeff Wilson goes to Miami. I'm like, great. I don't even know what to expect now because Singletary had run, I think it was like the 3rd most routes for running backs. And now that role is most certainly going to go to Nyheim Hines. Something to certainly watch there as well. We got an update here from Tom Pelissaro that he just talked to Coach Kevin O'Connell, who said acquired tight end TJ Hawkinson is going to be playing a lot today. That we've repeated a few times. But a little update to that note. They started working with him around 10 p.m. on Tuesday. He's expected to be in most of the packages today against the Commanders. So, something to consider there with TJ Hawkinson. Going to be in most of the packages today.
All right, dude, just wait. You're just sweat. All right, dude. You know what? Hawkinson, for all the Pitts Hawkinson questions that we're going to get the rest of the day, if he's going to play a large portion, then I will sway towards the Hawkinson side over Pitts because Atlanta's just going to run the ball a million times. So
yeah, I agree with you there as well. Let's go back over to our Jock Market chat we got going on here at the Bettor Sports Network. We got a couple of ins in chat. Preston, nice to see you. Essie, perfect here. Good to have you in with us here today. Again, guys, if you want to cut the line, go sign up the app, download it, and we'll get your questions answered directly into the Bettor Sports Network chat. We see you on YouTube. I promise you. We're going to get to a lot of your questions shortly here. I know you're all Got a bunch of start sits for us here on this big Buy-Mageddon, as James has dubbed it. It's a good call. Like it. Worked well. We're going to run through some of these questions right now here. Preston wants to know, start Fournette or Mostert as an RB2. He also has Gabe Davis or Hardman for a flex. So I'm guessing you could pick either one of those or those two separate teams, Preston. But we'll start with the first question. Fournette or Mostert today?
I'll go with November Lenny. That's what I'm dubbing him today, November Lenny, because he has a nickname for everything. So November Lenny.
Yeah. Okay. Fournette, and then if you're going to flex, Davis or Hardman.
Gabe Davis.
Yeah. Listen, I'm curious what Kadarius Toney's fit's going to be in this offense.
Yep.
He was out there practicing. He's had a whole week and a half now, basically, to learn the playbook and be involved. So I'm very. Hardman was already losing snap share to Sky Moore.
Right.
We'll see what Kadarius Toney fits into that spot there. Ann has another question here. Thoughts on Landry going? Could I play Drake or Marshall or wait on the Landry with Juwan as a pivot if he doesn't go? I don't know. Jarvis Landry coming back from an injury. Any interest there?
No, he hasn't really. He has not played in a while, and I think I honestly I think Terrace Marshall and Ken Drake are probably better options. Anyway,
I would go Marshall just for the
same.
volume we've been getting. So
yep, agreed.
Go Terrace Marshall there. And Ashley wants to know Rashad White or Kadarius Toney on waivers. Would you drop Gus Edwards for either of them? Says he doesn't need it for this week. He's just trying to make an advanced pickup. So Toney or Gus, I guess, would probably be the question for me there. I don't know what to expect from Rashad White because unless Fournette really goes down, he's still going to have to be contending with that.
Yeah, I mean, I probably stay with Gus. I guess we do have the return of Dobbins looming at the end of the year.
It's going to always be a timeshare, I think, with Edwards.
It's always going to be but it's a timeshare, sure, but it's also there's how many cooks in the kitchen in Kansas City? They have so many weapons. You just mentioned Sky Moore was an early draft pick that they're now working.
I feel like Toney could be maybe
their slot. Their dominant slot guy.
How do you rank in terms of what we feel as our own sort of evaluators of fantasy football? How do we feel Toney compares to Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore, Mecole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster? I don't think when fully healthy he is any worse than any of those guys. He may be better than all of them, but Juju potentially, right? Or on par with Juju, in my opinion. We saw the talent he can be as a first-round pick, and he was with just a very bad Giants team. Get Mahomes, get Kelsey taking defenses away. I don't know. I Toney could be the best receiver on that offense. We just don't know.
He could be, but he also left even when he was healthy-ish and playing, and yes, he was absolutely electric and great for the Chiefs. The rich get richer, right? It's whatever. Good for you guys. But he also left every game he played in with another injury. Every time, because he's so shifty and he doesn't go down and he stays in bounds and he fights for extra yards. He's always hurt. I agree. The talent wise, he may be better than everyone other than Travis Kelce. Just route running, catching footballs, making extra yards out of nothing.
Yeah.
We just don't know. So let's see the implementation. I'll probably lean Gus, but I think it is an interesting spot for Toney to land because, Mahomes is throwing 40 times a game still.
Right.
And it's the most prolific offense in football. So I'll go Gus, but very, 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 very close.
Yep. Okay. Back to some game previews. YouTube chat. We're going to get to you in a second. I promise you that one. We talked a little bit about the Vikings Commanders. Commanders are getting 3 at home. 7 of the 12 teams today at home are underdogs, James. Commanders are getting 3. It's a 43.5 game total. We just got that update on Hawkinson, expected to be used in most offensive packages today, per Tom Pelissero talking to head coach Kevin O'Connell. And then with Commanders, we talked about Antonio Gibson and his usage of late. Are there any other thoughts on this Commanders-Vikings game for you?
I guess the one thing is does Hawkinson, do you think he could eat into Jefferson or Thielen at all? Because and lower their appeal. I think Jefferson is safe. So let's put him aside. He's, one of the 3 best receivers in football. So shouldn't include him. But does Hawkinson impact Thielen for you? Could that hurt? Because Thielen's been consistent. We all but one time in his last 5 games has he failed to score double-digit fantasy points. in PPR formats. Like, does that hurt Thielen? Do they go to a more pass heavy attack? Does that hurt Dalvin at all? Like, what's your thought on like Hawkinson's implementation for other guys?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't think it's going to impact Jefferson at all. Obviously,
No.
it could open things up for Thielen if defenses now have to sort of allocate a different defensive scheming to deal with Hawkinson versus Irv Smith, truthfully. So, I don't know. It may honestly just force maybe they'll throw more. They're already throwing a lot, but maybe they'll throw more, right? Like, because they have multiple options there. So yeah, it's something to watch for sure. Maybe Osborne takes a bump down now because when they go 3 wide receivers, they really just kind of go Hawk instead of Irv, who's coming off the field for those sets. So something to pay attention to there. Ann wants to know Fields or Cousins. We were just talking obviously about about the Commanders here in Vikings game. Cousins going back to Washington. Thoughts on those two?
It's a good matchup for Cousins, but I'll go Justin Fields, man. I think it's a better matchup for Fields, and it's just hard to ignore the dual threat
the mobility
presence that he's showing right now, and like they're obviously game planning for. So I'll go Fields over Cousins.
Yep. Packers versus Lions. Lions are at home getting 3.5, a 49.5 game total in this one. I've been super skeptical about the Packers offense. Again, Aaron Rodgers hasn't scored more than 17.5, I think, fantasy points. He hasn't hit 18 fantasy points in a single week this season. Yet a lot of people are talking like they like the Packers today in this matchup and Rodgers in this matchup in DFS. Seasonal, fine. Like, what else are you going to do really at that point?
Right.
I think, honestly, this is an Aaron Jones game. 140 yards rushing in a much tougher spot last week against the Bills. I think Aaron Jones is going to be the guy to look at for this spot here against Detroit. And then on the flip side, Josh Reynolds is now doubtful to play. Last week, I actually picked up Cleve Freeman in a few leagues. And I think if he's on your waiver wire right now and you need a wide receiver pickup, go check out to see if Cleve Freeman is out there because they traded Hawkinson. Josh Reynolds isn't going to be out there. Swift's usage is going to be questionable, they said. Like, he's going to be limited. They're going to see how he feels. I think Cleve Freeman is going to be a pretty nice pickup for today against Green Bay because, they're going to have to throw here, and they're down 2 more receivers. So, thoughts on Packers Lions?
Well, one, John, I picked up Cleve Freeman to start against you this week in the league that we're in together.
You're only projected to lose by 35.
Now I'm only projected to lose by 35. That is correct. Shout out to Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown for you and everyone.
I think it's an absolute wagon. Listen, if you listen to me, you also would have drafted Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown like I was touting all offseason. So I'm 7-1 and 5-2 in those leagues. Hopefully you guys could have been too. Yeah.
So I think it's important to listen to Aaron Rodgers sometimes. I know like he gets a lot of slack and has for the last couple of years for a lot of different things. Some football, some not football related stuff. But he came out and said like we need to get Aaron Jones the football, and then they've proceeded to get Aaron Jones the football the last 2 weeks. One through the passing game, one on the ground, but just a lot of touches the last 2 weeks. I agree. But anyone in this Green Bay offense could have a big day, John. Detroit's defense is as bad as it's ever going to be. Which is why I do think there is some merit to Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't like that let me rephrase this. I do like that he's more owned than guys or projected to be more owned than guys like Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, because I feel better about those guys in DFS, especially. But there is merit to playing Aaron Rodgers. He's under 6K on DraftKings. We mentioned it a little while ago. They didn't add anybody off of their practice squad, which makes us believe that maybe Allen Lazard and Christian Watson are both going to be active. And that just gives Aaron Rodgers, his full complement of weapons. So I think Green Bay's offense looks good across the board. I think, the receivers will probably be lower owned because they are coming off a bunch of injuries. I do like Khalif Raymond a bunch. I do like Amon-Ra St. Brown a bunch. The Swift thing is very interesting because he is playing in a limited capacity, but the Monday after the game, Dan Campbell, or the Sunday after the game, Dan Campbell said they got him too many carries, and he used the word carries specifically. It wasn't touches. It wasn't snaps. He said carries. He had 5. So maybe he just misspoke and he did mean to say touches because he had 10, and maybe that's not the best for a guy dealing with a shoulder and ankle injury for the last 6 weeks, but That's concerning to me, especially if he didn't misspeak, especially if he did mean carries, because if it's more limited than it was last week, what is he going to do? How many touches is he going to get? This team is going nowhere. He's a very talented guy. Are they going to continue to like push on him when he's dealing with multiple injuries? I don't know. Like, that's extremely concerning. No one's going to play Jamal Williams today, John.
I came out last week and gave this prop on the show. It was the Jamal Williams rushing prop, and he hit the over. We're looking at it again today. It's 48.5 yards rushing over in Underdog Fantasy. We're looking at a Green Bay defense that ranks 31st in DVOA against the run.
Yep.
You're going to tell me Jamal Williams is going to run for at least 50 yards against his former team? You're out of your mind. I'm, again, not calling it a lock. I'm just saying I like it a lot. It's in my cards today on Prize Picks and on Underdog. So if you want to ride with me, take the over 48.5 yards rushing there on Jamal Williams. Again, he's getting double-digit carries. Great opportunity for him to run against his defense. Maybe we get burned by coach speak, but even Swift said to the reporter the other day, I don't think I'll be 100% all season long.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to believe you because they're not using you. So I like Jamal Williams a lot. I like him he's probably a contrarian DFS play. This is a guy that
100%.
has 8 touchdowns on the year already. Or six or 8 touchdowns on the
Four
season already.
You're right. He has 4 multi-touchdown games this year.
Yeah.
4.
Like that helps you win, right?
Yeah.
Touchdowns help you win in DFS. So, and they help you win in
sure.
seasonal, but he's probably not available. But if you're playing DFS this week and you want to be a little bit different in your game stacking this one, like come back with Jamal Williams for Detroit, not like Amon-Ra St. Brown or anybody like that. I think there's again, double touchdown potential. And he should get a lot of the workload there. So, and he catches the football a little bit too. So, I'm a big fan of the once dubbed Jamawful Williams by our own Howard.
Hasn't been so awful. Hasn't been so Jamawful this year.
Has not been so Jamawful this year. I agree with you that. All right, back to the Jock Market chat over on our YouTube here. Jeff Mason, PPR looking for a running back, wide receiver, and a flex. He's basically giving us an entire roster. Jamal Williams is one of them. Swift, Deion Jackson, Tyler Boyd, Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis. He's leaning Boyd, Williams, and Deion of that group. I would play Boyd. I would play Jamal Williams. So it's Deion Jackson, Gabe Davis, or Christian Kirk as a flex play for you, James.
I'll go Gabe Davis. I don't like the Deion Jackson thing is like I'm playing him in places I have to play him, but like he's not a priority for me this week. They have 4 running backs that are expected to be active today. So who knows how Indy handles their backfield. Kirk is interesting, but it's been the Evan Ingram show as we alluded to lately. So I'll go Gabe Davis over Deion there.
Yeah, give me Gabe Davis there as well here. James, Jock Market offers live daily markets for sports that let you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time with other users, all for real money, and each share has a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. Download it now using promo code BETTER to receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Your first market will also be risk-free with losses refunded up to $100. Download the Jock Market app now using promo code BETTER. When James and I get back, no more breaks. We are going through to the end of the show. We're going to be answering all of your questions. We're going to get to some of our favorite prop bets of the day. We're going to get through some more of these game previews. It's a big week for everybody. I know week 9 here. Armageddon is here. When James and I get back, we'll get to all of that. This is the Game Day Playbook presented by Fantasy Alarm on the Bettor Sports Network.
Right now by Dave Eisman, co-founder of Jock Market. Dave, what's up, man?
Hey guys, how are you doing? Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Thank you for
coming on.
sponsoring the show on the network and everything, man. We much appreciate it.
How would you recommend a novice make their introduction into Jock Market?
For most people, we recommend we have free beginner contests. So anyway, if you played fewer than 50 events, free to enter. And instead of trading with cash like you do in our cash markets, we give everyone chips, the same number of chips to trade. And we rank people at the end based on how many chips you finish with. So totally free to enter, only against other novices, and you can sort of build a portfolio in a way that you would with real cash, just in a way that's a little more risk-free. For the people that are more, a little more adventurous and you want to deposit right away, I'd say pick, 1 or 2 players you think are going to be undervalued, and it's just that simple, right? They're undervalued today. I think they're going to outperform. Buy a couple shares and watch what happens to the price. Watch where people are offering to pay for them. And then as the game goes on, you say like, hey, Lamar Jackson's having a real bad first half, let's say. He's probably going to be the most expensive player. There might be opportunity to buy low on him or kind of watch as the game goes on and how the prices react. I'd say that's probably the best way to.
So it's like a second screen experience where you kind of have to have it up while you're watching the games on Sunday and stuff like that to really be able to truly take advantage, huh?
Actually, what's great is that we have a lot of people that do that, but a lot of people will buy before the games and just
come back and check.
Yeah, because we have the guaranteed payouts at the end. You don't have to trade. There might be an opportunity for you to, reallocate your funds or invest more, buy, sell, short sell, whatever you want to do. But we have plenty of people who just buy and hold, and that's their whole experience, and they do pretty well on that.
Work is sponsored by Jock Market.
Welcome back, everybody. Here in the Stream Friday, Jon Impemba with you all. And remember, big day here at the Bettor Sports Network. Stick with the channel. James and I are up till 11 after us. Front Yard Fantasy from 11 to 1. Gonna break you down all the inactives and all your latest roster updates, questions, and answers there as well. And then Bettor Zone, rest of the day there, watching the games with you, winning with you, maybe live betting, prop bets, you name it, they got it. So stick with this all day long. Download the free app to get your questions in here. Go to your iTunes and Google Play Store, Bettor Sports app. It's free. You just sign up, you click join show, you get in on the fun. I see all your questions on YouTube. We're going to get to those in a minute, but if you want to cut that line, again, go download the app. We have plenty of people that are going from the YouTube channel into the Bettor Sports Network app. They're getting their questions in. They're getting those questions answered first. So if you want to jump that line, download the app, get in our chat here for sure. And one more question. She says, Singletary or Brian Robinson in a PPR league?
I think it's got to be Singletary, even with the chance of a blowout looming. I think you got to go Singletary there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go Singletary in that one there as well. Patrick wants to know how we're feeling about Swift this week. We kind of broke that one down already, a little uncertain with his usage there. So if you have to play him, like I'm in a league where I have to play Swift.
Yep.
Bye weeks, coming back. He's in a flex play. Do I love it? No, I'm hoping he just gets that receiving touchdown like he did last week and kind of bails me out a little bit, but I'm not expecting a lot of carry volume. Like you said, James, if his shoulder's injured, they don't want him running the football because he's going to be taking that hard contact. So kind of tough to trust. Jeff Mason, another question here. Lawrence or Rodgers today if he has to start one?
That is a good question. Like, it's really hard to bench Rodgers, I think, in this spot, just given, but I mean, he just hasn't been great. So I'll go Trevor Lawrence but it's really razor thin, like really razor thin. I think Rodgers might be the safer play, but I think Trevor Lawrence probably has a higher ceiling here.
Yeah, Rodgers definitely has a safer floor. So if you want safe production, go Rodgers. If you want to maybe see if you have a ceiling game, I think Lawrence could potentially get there for you. Mo Diesel, Patterson or Gibson in a PPR league?
I will go Antonio Gibson, but pretty close.
Yeah,
I know you like CPAT.
I do like CPAT. I do. DJ Duvernay, Deion Jackson, or Donta Foreman today?
Oh, Foreman all day.
We got another trade question. Again, is this a trade that you got or a trade you're offering? Do I trade Stevenson and Pittman for Chubb and Keenan Allen? I have a rule that I don't trade for injured players. So, no, I would keep Stevenson and Pittman there. I would not trade for a guy who's missed almost all the entire season with a hamstring injury and then re-injured his hamstring. So, it doesn't seem like you may see Keenan Allen back at all this year at some point. Like, who knows? The way hamstrings can be, man, those things are tough. Morden wants to know, need 2.5 PPR, Deion Jackson, Jacoby Myers, Palmer or Patterson?
Palmer, man, the Jackson thing is just so interesting with like how tough New England's defense is on running backs. I'll go Palmer, and I guess I'll give in to the CPAT love here just because it's just the Deion Jackson uncertainty.
Embrace it.
I'm embracing it. Palmer and Patterson for me.
Yep. Work and grind morning, man. He's got a question here. Deion Jackson, Alec Pierce, Traquan Smith, or Hilliard. Is that what Hilliard am I thinking of? Is that Tennessee?
Running back for the Tennessee Titans. Yeah. I mean, I think you got to go Deion Jackson. I think you got to go.
Yeah, you got to go Deion Jackson in that group for sure. Tough spot to be in there. Work and grind. Good luck for you. Good luck for you on that one. Not being, just saying, just good luck. I wish you the best. Terrell wants to know Dylan, Robinson, or Pacheco, or am I dead?
You're not dead, Terrell.
Dylan?
I think AJ Dillon, the Pacheco like starting thing kind of I think took us for a loop and it wasn't great. They did have a bye week, right? To maybe implement that even more. But I think AJ Dillon, we finally could get the AJ Dillon game that everyone hoped for today. The Lions are bad. Not that the Packers are great, but their defense is bad. So I'll go AJ Dillon. Terrell, you're not dead.
Maybe the Packers get up big enough and you get some Dillon like late rush yardage or something. Foreman over Swift from Luis. Would you start Donta over Swift today? I think I do.
I would. Yep. I think Foreman has looked great. There's no Chuba Hubbard and just with the uncertainties of Swift, I think it's like pretty easy call Foreman over Swift.
Yeah, Working Grind in our chat wants to know AJ Dillon or Deion Jackson.
See, that's a better question. I still think Deion Jackson is gonna definitely get a bigger workload. But it's more interesting. That's a more interesting question. Like, because you brought up a good point. Like, if this game is out of hand, we don't think it is. It's a close spread. But if it does, if Green Bay's offense shows flashes of what it's been, with the back-to-back MVP under center, like maybe there is a big fourth quarter for AJ Dillon in store. But I'd still go Deion Jackson.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And the last question before we go back to some of these game previews here: Deion Jackson or Pittman in a full PPR?
I like Deion Jackson maybe catching passes out of the backfield in PPR, so I'll go Jackson over Pittman, but it's close.
Better Al, I actually agree with you. I said that in the Fantasy Football podcast this week. I've been basically saying to take the other team outright against Green Bay for weeks. Unfortunately, Massachusetts does not let me place bets yet because I said take the Jets outright when they were getting 7. I said to take the Giants outright when they were getting 4.5. Like, take the Lions plus the 3.5. Take the Lions money line. I agree. I think Green Bay, Washington beat them. They should not be favorites against anybody. They're not a good football team. But we'll see how that all plays out there. Rowdy, one more question for you there. Ask as many as you want, really. But her next question: DeAndre Carter with no Williams or Allen or Khalif Raymond in a PPR. So DeAndre Carter or Khalif Raymond in a PPR?
I'll go Raymond. I mean, Carter himself is expected to play, but questionable. We don't know if he makes it to the full game with the illness. And plus they the Lions really don't have other guys that Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, yes, they could pass the ball to DeAndre Swift, but like he's limited. So how many snaps is he even going to play? I'll go Raymond over DeAndre Carter.
Yeah, I'm going to go Raymond over DeAndre Carter there as well. Let's go back to some of these game previews. Chargers, Falcons. Falcons getting 3, another 49.5 game total. No Williams, no Williams. We think Palmer's for sure fire number 1 there. Gerald Everett, big target guy. Austin Eckler going to just dominate usage for today. Love the over 6 catches for Austin Eckler today against Atlanta. Cordarrelle Patterson return. We've kind of talked about it. I think they're going to use him a little bit more. Again, I don't think they would bring him back and activate him and him just be as hyped and practicing if they weren't planning on giving him 15 touches here. So I like Patterson. And the biggest question of the day has really been, what do we do with Kyle Pitts?
I mean, what do we do? We have to start. I think we almost have to start him, especially in Mageddon, especially with Mark Andrews listed as doubtful. Like the tight end position already kind of, it's horrible. I think you have to start Pitts. Now, like, am I actively playing him in DFS? No. I mean, you've talked about it enough. Like, Derwin James is looming against Kyle Pitts. But it has been good to see 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games. He's being used in the red zone or the green zone, as you've coined it. And you know what? They've been throwing a little bit more, and Pitts has been the beneficiary of it. So, like, I think you have to start him. I don't think you have to play him in DFS. Like, in what situation? Like, it's like the Hawkinson versus Pitts conversation is like the only one where it's like, yeah, what other tight end are you starting over Kyle Pitts this week, John? I'll ask you, like,
Sure.
Are you starting? I mean, we're starting Evan Ingram over Kyle Pitts. Like,
yeah, Robert
Kelsey,
Tonyan, Evan Ingram, TJ Hawkinson.
So is the Tonyan thing for sure? You would definitely start Tonyan over him if Lazard and Christian Watson are both on the field.
Yeah, because he's getting targets anyways. Like, he's just, if you look at his target share, even when those guys are out there, I think he's just sort of a safety blanket Safety blanket for Rodgers there. Still a good spot for him against the Lions defense as well. I feel like Doubs gets targets when Lazard is out. Lazard gets the targets when he's in, and Hunting is always just sort of the number 2. So that's kind of how I've kind of evaluated that spot. Now Pitts probably has higher ceiling, but his floor feels like it's much lower.
Well, it's been 0.
Yeah. Oh, right. Like I'm playing. You play Ertz obviously over
Hayden Hurst.
Probably. We've seen Marcus Mariota throw the ball less than 20 times in like half the games this year. What does that mean for?
And no Jamar Chase in Cincinnati. So, what about Tyler Higbee?
Tougher spot. Coop's active, so probably not. Gator J in chat, or Gator I maybe Gator I. Great question for you. Start Knox or Pitts this week?
Oof. I would go Pitts. I would go Pitts over Knox.
Yeah, I think I would go Pitts over Knox too here as well. We do have a quick update breaking through now from Schefter. We talked about Kadarius Toney a little bit earlier. Chiefs wide receiver Kadarius Toney has recovered from his grade 2 hamstring that he suffered in week 2 while playing for the Giants. He could have played for Kansas City, but the bye weeks gave him one more week to get healthy. He'll be active and available for against the Titans tonight. So I guess he was probably ready to go for the Giants for a little bit, and he either refused to play or the team didn't want him getting injured, so they just sat him. So Toney, if you got him and you're looking for a fill-in this week, he probably is a flex play. I don't know. I wouldn't rank him maybe much higher than a wide receiver 3 because we just don't know. But he will be on the field. So and he's had a week and a half to be ready to go for them. So we'll see what happens there as well. Juggernaut got a trade offer. Kelsey, oh man, I hate trading teams. Kelsey for Metcalf, Godwin, and Logan Thomas. I don't know what your wide receivers look like, I guess. Hard to trade Kelsey. Logan Thomas played 54% of the snaps last week and got 0 targets. So I don't know if I want to do that unless like your starting wide receivers are also not getting targets. So give us a little bit more information on your team there, Juggernaut. I can give you a better answer, but I'm leaning a no on that one because again, Logan Thomas got a 0 last week. And tight end sucks. So you have the best in the game. Don't really want to move on from him unless you're telling me you're not saying like I also have like Evan Ingram on my team.
Right.
Like, oh, well, then sure. So give us a full picture and we can answer that one for you a little bit more, man. Dolphins, Bears at home getting 4.5, 45.5 game total. Again, we're curious to see how Jeff Wilson's going to be used in this Dolphins offense today. And the Chase Claypool usage, maybe we'll get some more information as we get closer to kickoff here. At the latest report was that he was going to play anywhere between 10 to 35 snaps.
10 to 30. Like, come on. Can we
literally be one drive or half a game?
What is the range? Can we get, hey, let's play. Chase Claypool will play one half of football today. Great. Right. Chase Claypool will play 3/4 of a football game today. Great. No, Chase Claypool might play. He might not play at all. Like, come on, man. This game is really fun, which I don't think we would have said probably last year. Bears Dolphins probably wouldn't have been like the most fun game on the board, but 2 bad defensive teams. The Dolphins give up a lot of passing yards. Will that entice the Bears to throw a little bit more? Yeah. The Bears give up a lot of yards everywhere. What will the Dolphins' plan of attack be? I think the running backs are in a great spot. I think Raheem Mostert could have a big day, but like the Jeff Wilson inclusion is obviously interesting, especially if, like you said earlier in the show, he's in the green zone and we're seeing Jeff Wilson get the touches in the red zone. I think Tyreek Hill is probably one of the best receiving options on the board today in all formats. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's on pace to break the record in receiving yards. He already has 4 games with 10 plus receptions. He has 4 games with 160 more yards, John. It's
one of the few players with legitimate 200-yard upside.
Yeah.
On a week-to-week basis.
And he doesn't even have to run like a deep ball. He could just catch the ball on a slant and he's out. I mean, like like classic OBJ in New York Giants, like catching a slant and he's just gone 75 yards to the house. I mean, this game is really, really fun from a DFS standpoint, and I'm still not going to play Cole Kmet. Back to the tight end position. Like, I just think like it's just I'm happy he scored last week, but 2 targets. Like now the addition of Claypool, like if any Kmet love before the season is just like talk about being just crushed.
Yeah. Archie in chat here. Good morning, Archie. Having some tight end issues, you and everybody else, sir. I guarantee you that today. Isaiah Likely or Foster Moreau.
Dude, Isaiah Likely is in a really good spot. Isaiah Likely is a very he's very good. I don't know if you checked out the Fantasy on Weekly rankings, John. Did you see where Adam Ronis ranked Isaiah Likely this week?
I did not.
4th.
I, of course, checked it out. I don't remember where he has him ranked.
4th. So I think that's interesting, and I do think Isaiah Likely is a tight end 1 for sure. I mean, we saw just last week like what his usage is. We've seen throughout Mark Andrews' career what the safety means to Lamar Jackson. Dude, he is I think a top 5 tight end option. Definitely top 10 and likely top 5. See what I did there?
Oh, I see what you did there. Juggernaut came back last night. His wide receivers are Kirk, Boyd, and Ayuk. So I still would keep Kelsey, but like maybe trying to work like a smaller trade somewhere. My biggest thing with fantasy football is that everybody feels like they have to trade like all their stars, to make moves happen. Again, unless you had another tight end that's not getting 0 targets on your roster, like an Ingram or Dalton Schultz or something like that as a backup tight end, like maybe, but I'm not going to fill one hole to cause another, right? So keep Kelsey. I think you're just better off at that point there. So
it's really, really hard to trade Travis Kelsey, period. That's the moral. I mean, the tight end position is so bad. If you have Kelsey or Andrews, don't move off.
Okay,
of that.
So there you go. He has Schultz and Likely.
Ooh, I mean that's kind of interesting though.
I'm fine.
Right?
Yeah, you know what? I'm fine with that. Make the move. Like this is you don't.
You also don't need even get Logan Thomas. You don't need Logan Thomas in that deal.
Yeah. No, you don't need Logan Thomas. You can just try to full out another player instead of Logan Thomas there. You're gonna be fine with that. But yeah, I like Dalton Schultz a lot, and you can play Likely today. So I don't know when that trade's going to go through for you, but make that move. That's fine. Get Metcalf. What was the other deal? Metcalf just did it. Perfect. Love it.
Godwin.
Good luck to you, sir. And that's why it comes to when you're asking us questions, especially trade questions. Give us the entire picture, and we can try to give you a little bit more direct answer for you there. Raiders, Jacksonville, Jaguars here. Jags at home getting 2.5. Again, I like Jacksonville maybe outright in this one. 47.5 game total. Raiders last week got shut out. They didn't cross the 50-yard line. ATN is going to be the most popular play in DFS this week.
As it should be. I mean, the usage has been great. The volume has been great. This is a spot where he hasn't been heavily involved in the passing game, a spot he can be, just given how bad Las Vegas has been against running backs in the passing game. So, I love ETN in all formats, cash games, tournaments. He's a must start. You know that I just we're talking about my team a lot today, John. I traded for him in our league, so now you have to deal with that. So as you're accruing DFS fantasy points, John, I will be accruing seasonal fantasy points against you. So the best of both worlds for you, I guess. I think the passing games are just very interesting here. I think Jacksonville has given up a lot through the air. I think Derek Carr in a prime bounce back spot, especially with talk around Raiders is Derek Carr their future quarterback? Like he needs to bounce back. Is Josh McDaniels the coach of the future for the Raiders? Like this should have been a match made in heaven. You go out.
There's already been some rumors floating around that when Tom Brady leaves Tampa Bay at the end of this year, he goes to Las Vegas to reunite with McDaniels.
Well, that was that was the Dana White ESPN segment.
No, that was before he went to Tampa Bay in the first place. Before he went to Tampa Bay, the Raiders and Gruden were supposed to trade for Tom Brady or whatever, or sign Tom Brady. That fell through. and he ended up going to Tampa Bay instead. But now the newest updates are obviously now that McDaniels is in Las Vegas, and the fact that Brady already sort of did some searching in that area anyways, that he's done in Tampa and he goes to Las Vegas and replaces Carr just 4 years later. So, we'll see exactly what fills out on that one there. Colts, Patriots giving 4.5, 40.5 game total here. Again, Jonathan Taylor's been ruled out. Mac Jones has not looked very good. Ramondre Stevenson, I think, is in a really great spot from a pure volume standpoint. I don't think people are realizing that Ramondre Stevenson has 15 catches over the last 2 weeks.
So good.
He is literally doing everything in this offense right now. I think he is probably the only playable guy in New England that you would trust. I mean, no Devontae Parker. Jacoby Myers is going to be the wide receiver 1 today for them as usual. But, Kendrick Bourne, Tyquan Thornton is wide receiver 2 options. Like, I don't really love that. So maybe your Patriots defense and Ramondre Stevenson are your DFS options.
I mean, I'm kind of split on the Jacoby Myers discussion because in 2 of Mac Jones' starts this year, Jacoby Myers has 13 targets in each of those games. Like, he is clearly the Patriots' go-to receiver and clearly Mac Jones' safety blanket. And now we're talking about a guy who didn't score touchdowns at all. He's on a roll. Three in his last 4 games, including back-to-back weeks. So, like, I do think there's some value to Jacoby Myers, especially with Mac at the helm. I think they have built quite a good rapport, and I would throw Jacoby Myers into that equation with Ramondre Stevenson as well.
Yep. Gator in chat wants to know, is Carr and Adams startable? Adams for sure is startable. It depends on what your other option is for Carr for me.
Right. Agreed. I mean, I think I do like Derek Carr today, but like, if you have a different option, if you have a Justin Fields, I'm starting Justin Fields. If you have a Tua Tagovailoa, I'm starting Tua Tagovailoa. If you have Aaron Rodgers, you're starting Geno Smith over him. Like,
yeah, I agree. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks I'd play over Carr today. So unless you're telling me your option is, I was going to say Garoppolo, but they're not even on the slate. So something like that, and probably in Mariota. I'd probably start Carr over Mariota.
Heineke, Carr over, I think, Heineke.
Yeah.
You're starting him over Ellinger.
Mac Jones, I would start him over Mac Jones.
Yeah, starting him over Mac Jones. But like, even in that situation, like that has to be like a 14-team league if you're even getting that deep.
Would you play talking here about Panthers Bengals? Would you play Walker or Carr?
So PJ Walker's looked good, and we like the pass catching options a lot, right? Like, we love Terrace Marshall, we love DJ Moore, what he's done. Obviously, the line for Walker a little aided by that Hail Mary at the end of DJ Moore. Same can go for DJ Moore, even though the targets have been there, a little aided by the Hail Mary. But I'd go Carr over Walker. But I still have a little more faith in Derek Carr than PJ Walker.
Yep. All right. Bengals are giving 7 in that game. Donta Foreman, no Chuba Hubbard were in on. And I think the Bengals bounce back in this one. I like all systems go for that offense there today against the Carolina Panthers. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's kind of in a really good spot and is startable for Cincinnati. I mean, T. Higgins is probably a top 10 receiver on the week. His week was, lucky last week against Cleveland, but they looked terrible. And then Higgins bailed out with a touchdown. Boyd, the volume was a little down, but again, bailed out with a touchdown. I think both of those are clear-cut top 24 receivers. I do think Hayden Hurst is a top 10 tight end. I would still start Kyle Pitts over Hayden Hurst, to the question I asked you earlier. But I do think Hayden Hurst is safe. I mean, you're talking about a guy who has had 8 or more PPR points, which I know 8, but like, we're talking about tight ends here. Like, you get 8 fantasy points, guys not named Kelsey Andrews. You're in a pretty good spot. 8 or more fantasy points in 4 of the last 5 games. I think Hayden Hurst is firmly in play. We know you're starting Joe Mixon wherever you have him. So the whole offense, I think the more interesting question, John, is like the Carolina offense, because we both like DJ Moore. I think it's really hard not to like what he has done with PJ Walker going on 3 years since PJ Walker has returned. I guess the question is like, can Terrace Marshall continue doing what he's doing? I mean, yes, the Tampa Bay game wasn't great, but then he makes a start, 9 targets, dude. Like 4 receptions, 9 targets, 87 yards. This is a guy we were very highly on last year. Like, can Terrace Marshall is he startable this week? Like, is he a flex? You think he's like a flex option? Because
Yeah, I think he's
I
a
do.
flex play. Yeah, I think
I
he's
do.
We have Schwartz center needs 2 of 4 in a full PPR. Davis, Kirk, Samuel, or Jackson.
Davis for sure. I mean, you like that Jacksonville offense today. You picked him outright, so I'll go Kirk a little over Jackson, but I think it's close. Gabe Davis for sure, and then I think Kirk or Dion for me.
Curtis Samuel's fallen off a bit, but I mean, I don't know. I probably.
I guess you can. I guess let's guarantee the volume with Deion Jackson, right? We'll guarantee the volume with Deion Jackson.
Yeah. Go Jackson and Davis for me today. Work and grind wants to know Marshall, Carter, or Raymond. I'm going Raymond over those two.
Same.
There's no unlikely to see Reynolds play today. A couple more game previews, and we'll finish this off rapid fire with these questions in chat. So we'll move through these ones quickly. Seahawks, Cardinals. Got questions in this matchup because 2 weeks ago, this was the highest game total on the board and nobody scored. DeAndre Hopkins is back. We're waiting on the James Conner news. And then Seattle offense is starting to come back to earth a little bit, but both receivers are healthy and Kenneth Walker is still rolling.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be more points in this game. Again, we talked about D-Hop's return, and it's been great for someone like Rondale Moore. I mean, 8 targets last week, including a touchdown for Rondale Moore. He was a little included in the rushing attack, too. I think that's like a good thing to see Rondale Moore. I think he is so explosive. Get him, off the edge. The tight end position for Seattle is a nightmare, per usual. Disley only 2 targets last week, and I thought it was a pretty good spot against the Giants. The Giants hadn't been good against tight ends, and the question marks at the receiver position clearly weren't a question mark because DJ Metcalf is a different human being. 10 targets and a touchdown on a patellar injury, and Tyler Lockett was good. I think this game is going to be much more appealing. I do think it's a tough matchup for Kenneth Walker. I think he could find the end zone, but I don't think he's going to see as much success. I think it's going to be like a similar maybe stat line to what it was against the Giants. And then it's the question of, is James Conner going to play, expected to play? And I think if he does play, he's startable. I think this is a very good matchup for him. I think he finds the end zone today. And that kind of, you deemed, Benjamin dead earlier in the show if James Conner, maybe a little unfair, but he's like partially dead,
Yeah, partially dead. Okay. Gator in chat wants to know Deion Jackson or Deonta Foreman today.
Foreman.
Yeah, go Foreman. Archie Hancock wants to know, should I trade Waller or keep him and take the risk he comes back?
Trade him.
If you can get anything for him, trade him. I don't know who
trade him
for him, but trade him if you can. Last game on the main slate here for the last 4 p.m. game. Rams, Bucks, Buccaneers given 3. Cooper Kupp's probably not going to be 100%. Rams offense struggling. Allen Robinson, couple back-to-back decent weeks for him. Rams running attack, a big question mark, and then the entire Buccaneers offense is a question mark right now. Yeah,
I mean, this game is a huge question mark in general, right? Like, what do we expect from Cam Akers? What do we expect from Darrell Henderson? Like, how is the timeshare going to be in the Rams backfield? Very hard to trust. I do think Cooper Kupp is going to be a very, very contrarian play. I mean, no injury designation whatsoever. Got in practice throughout the week. So, you want to play him. Where Allen Robinson flex play, even with, the good weeks back to back. I think he's nothing more than a flex play. I mean, we're talking about a guy who, yes, has back-to-back 10-plus fantasy point games. He had 10 fantasy points combined in the 3 weeks prior. As Gator J, 22 carries for Cam Akers, 31 yards, John. I think that could be an accurate description. But maybe we take away the 2. Maybe it's a 12 for 31. I don't know if they're going to exactly run that much with Cam Akers, who doesn't want to be there to begin with. So tentatively going with the 12 for 31, Gator J, not the 22 for 31. But I think this game is a question mark in general. I think Leonard Fournette is a good contrarian DFS play. I think there's going to be multiple touchdown upside here. I think we know Leonard Fournette can be very viable in the pass game. So Cam Akers, let's ride the juggernaut. I don't know about all that.
All right. We got 10 minutes to go here, James. Let's rapid fire some of these questions over on the Jock Market chat we got going on over at YouTube right now. Left off. We did Lawrence Rogers. We did that one already. Let's see. Pablo, DJ Duvernay, Stevenson. A lot of questions came in, so I lost my place a bit here. Terrell, we did that one. Foreman over Swift. We answered Foreman over Swift already, I believe. We're both going down to Foreman. Deion Jackson, Michael Pittman.
Jackson.
Zhang wants to know rank 3, Moore, Boyd, or Mostert.
I would probably rank them exactly how he has them written out.
Yep, I would rank them that way as well. I got the Titans defense. Do I keep them or pick them up? If so, Jacksonville, Raiders, Cardinals, or Seahawks are on waivers. So
Oof.
Titans versus the Chiefs, right? You can't do that.
Yeah, you're not playing.
Jacksonville at home?
Probably Jacksonville defense. As much as we like Carr, like they literally just got shut out a week ago. So is that on the card? Like, is that in the cards? Absolutely.
Right. Sarah Riley wants to know half PPR flex Swift, St. Brown, Davis, or Jamal Williams.
St. Brown.
3 Lions or Gabe Davis.
I think it's St. Brown.
Yeah, St. Brown for sure. Though again, we do like Jamal Williams this week.
We do for sure. But like St. Brown's role is definitely.
Yeah, no Reynolds, no Hawk. Because he gets 15 targets today. Listen, this is what St. Brown looked like last year. Remember when they had nobody else around him and when he was the best wide receiver in fantasy football? Godwin or Lockett in a full PPR from G2?
That's a good question. I like the game better for the Seahawks. I'll go Tyler Lockett, but really good problem to have.
Lockett for me as well. Legacy's got a trio of questions here. So Hill, Ingram, or Likely for tight end? Ingram or Likely? Probably Ingram or Likely for you, James. Not playing Taysom.
Not playing Taysom Hill in that scenario. I'll go Evan Ingram, although they're both elite. They're both really good plays this week.
Yeah. I like Evan Ingram. Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields today? Who would have thought that'd be a question at the beginning of the year?
As much as I like Justin Fields, I don't want to bench Lamar Jackson. I think that this is a great running week for Lamar Jackson, John. I think we could get vintage 100-yard rushing Lamar Jackson this week. I'm going to go Lamar. I have a feeling that you're going Fields. I'm sticking with Lamar. I'm not benching him for Justin Fields this week.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to go Fields because I don't know who Lamar's throwing the football to. So
100 yards on the ground.
Likely or Duvernay. Yeah, but Fields can do that too. So give me Fields over Lamar. Crazy to think, but that's how I'm leaning. Pick 2, Olave, Walker, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker there. Kenneth Walker and Amon-Ra St. Brown or Olave?
I'll go with the Walker and Amon-Ra.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you there. Big Birds wants to know Patterson, Dubs, Moore, Deion Jackson, or Mooney. We need 3 of that group in a half PPR.
We're definitely playing DJ Moore. We're probably playing Cordero Patterson. Probably going to go Deion Jackson just based on volume. So sitting Dubs and Mooney for me.
Dubs and Mooney.
I mean, I know those are guys you like. Again, I just don't know what the Green Bay
I like situation. Mooney a lot, though. But yeah, fine. Deion Jackson at least catches the football, right? So sure. Patterson, Moore, and Deion Jackson work for me there. Kyle Mayer wants to know rest of season Kirk or Herbert in a PPR.
I think Herbert. I think it's Herbert as the role continues.
Keep the running back. Yeah, keep the running back. Hawkinson or Herbert in a flex play.
I think you got to go Herbert. I get Hawkinson is going to be heavily involved. At least that's what we're being told. That's what we're being told. He's going to play. We know even if Khalil Herbert plays 30% of snaps, he is going to play. So I'm going to go Khalil Herbert. He's going to get a lot of the volume. Give me Khalil Herbert.
I'm going Hawkinson.
I know you are.
Lazard or CEH today from Rocky?
If Lazard's active, definitely Lazard.
Yeah, Lazard. I don't want to trust CEH doing anything. Battling buys and injuries, Steven. Yeah, a lot of big questions today.
Bye Mageddon, Steven.
Need a flex spot. Lazard, Dubs, or Rondale?
Ooh, that's interesting. I wanna go Lazard if he's active, and if I'll go Lazard. I'll go Lazard there. We're gonna know if he's not active.
If Lazard isn't active, Dubs or more. It's probably still Dubs, right? You're just
Dubs filling in. Dubs filling in for Lazard. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. Take the Green Bay receivers there. Jerry Atkins wants to know Mixon, Metcalf, or Jackson needs a flex.
Sheesh. I think Cincinnati should control that game pretty well. I'll go Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
You're going to take – I mean, Metcalf looks –
bad running the football.
and Metcalf doesn't look like he's injured one bit,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But
It's a great game.
Mixon, he can score a touchdown. I'll go with Mixon, but this is like one of the last weeks I think I would take him over anybody, honestly. Half PPR.
Over anybody. Over anybody.
Half PPR, Mostert, Patterson, Godwin.
Mostert, Patterson, Godwin. I'll go half PPR.
Yeah.
You answer this because I'm going to say Chris Godwin, and you're going to be like, don't play the receiver.
I mean,
you're going to say, don't look.
I like
literally asking John.
I don't know. It's just a great spot for him.
John, you're asking John like two of his like 5 favorite players, non-Patriots in the league, and Raheem Mostert or Cordero Patterson. Staring him dead in the eyes right here.
I'm going Patterson. I'm sorry, it's a 50 game total. Like we're just gonna.
Fine. I'll go CPAT with you. We'll ride or die together here on CPAT.
DJ Duvernay. I think he asked this question earlier, but if he put it in again, I don't know. I said, "Morning, y'all. New here. Deion Jackson or Donta Foreman?" I think we went Foreman for this one. No.
Definitely Foreman. Yeah.
Do you see Diggs having a big game against Sauce Gardner? I'm never not playing Diggs.
Never.
You just play Diggs and hope he does beat Sauce Gardner. Adam Nguyen wants to know Gibson or Dubs.
That's a good question. I'll go Gibson. If we find out that Lazard is out, maybe you pivot to Dubs.
Yep. A couple more minutes here, everybody. Again, if you want one more time, go to the App Store, iTunes, Google Play, download the Bettor Sports Network app. It is completely free to do. And then you get to skip this YouTube line. You get your questions put right into our Bettor Sports Network chat, and we answer those right away. And stick with us all day long. Just because the Game Day playbook is ending doesn't mean the day ends here at the Bettor Sports Network from 11 to 1. We have Front Yard Fantasy and their crew. They're pre-gaming with you. They're getting you ready with all the inactives. They're doing all of your start-sit questions. They're breaking down the top stories. So just because we're leaving doesn't mean you have to. But to stick with the next show, download the Bettor Sports Network app and follow along with those guys there, Simon, Joey, and JL. Great show that they got going on in the Bettor Zone from 1 to 5. Take a part of it. And remember to go to Jock Market. If you haven't already, download the app. It offers live daily markets for sports to let you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time, with others used for real money, and each share is guaranteed payout at the end of the night. Download and use promo code BETTER to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Your first market will be risk-free with losses refunded up to $100. Download the Jock Market app today now using promo code BETTER. That is what we got going on for you all today. Again, this is the Game Day playbook. Stick with us for the rest of the day. To coming up next again, Simon, JL, and Joey with the Front Yard Fantasy Show. We'll give you one last question here, James, for the crowd here. Pick and Rick trade Olave for Debo, and also wants to know Deion Jackson, Chris Olave, or Josh Palmer for Tucker.
Give me Olave over Debo.
And I would trade. Yeah, I would trade Olave for Debo.
Yeah,
and I would start Palmer over Deion Jackson and Chris Olave.
Agreed.
That is what we're doing today. Again, just because we're leaving doesn't mean you got to leave. Download the app, Bettor Sports Network. This is the Game Day playbook presented by Fantasy Alarm here. James and I will be back next week for Week 10. Good luck, everybody. We'll catch you guys later.